All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, rule of thumb. If I'm talking, nobody else is. Okay? Yeah, you guys feel free to go get yourself some pizzas. You're not going to offend anyone. So Kevin, why don't you sit down for a minute and then I'm going to call you. Thank you. So I don't want you to be waiting too long. But I'm going to go a quick round of introductions for HackFormers, who we are, what we do. And the reason I'm doing it is because we have a lot of new faces. Some of the folks who are here in the room are attending, who are actually outside or from remote, who are attending Kevin, our speaker's class this week. And so they're here. So thank you all for joining in. Who we are and what we do, we're based out of Austin here as of now. HackFormers, it comes from hackers who are information security professionals. Transformers for commissioned Christians. So we're hackers for Transformers for Christ. Our mission is very simple. We teach security, we teach Christ, we teach that ultimate security is in Christ. And who we're not is that we're actually not a security organization involved in Christian activities. We're a Christian organization involved in security activities. We don't compete with any local security groups. We actually are inclusive of all, open to all. We don't compete with any churches as well. We actually try to help augment the churches in our community. The way we operate, actually, the modus operandi is that we have monthly educational meetings just as this one, where the speakers present on a particular topic, or that's information security related. They draw a parallel or an analogy from the scripture, which is the Bible, and then we discuss how this applies to our life. And so an example of that would be, seek and you shall find, right? You'll find, if you seek, you'll find passwords. You seek, you'll find providence as well. And so discovering passwords, what it takes, it's a credential that is validated for access. And Christ said, if you seek me, you will find me. And so the credential that is needed for accessing God is the credential. And how that actually applies to our professional and our security life, as well as how it applies to our personal life. So that's kind of where the tie in hackers or security stuff to the transforming stuff that we do. We have a Twitter account at HackFormers. So if you are not a follower, so follow HackFormers as HackFormers follows Christ. Okay, so just... I guess I can always say that, no, don't follow me, follow HackFormers, right? And we have a blog site as well. Looked at memory lane, quick history. Johnny and I met, Johnny Long, whom you all know, met in 2009. There was a blog that was put out as Christians, as HackFormers or Transformers. Met Andrew Wilson at AHA, which is the Austin Hackers Anonymous Group. James Wickett and I spoke a couple of times in our churches about being a witness to the InfoSec community. He's not here, shared faith openly. Austin and others encouraged me in the Secure SDLC event in June of 2011. And immediately after that, we kind of got together and a first invitation email was sent to the people who had interest of being part of a group that would be a witness to the community. And then we had our first planning meeting, and our first educational meeting was in 2012 on February. And the reason I say that is because I'm super excited that this is our 2-year anniversary mark. So, and we have a stellar speaker, one who represents Christ, and one is fantastic as a speaker. Now, so I'm excited to have Kevin, a good friend as well. Our first educational meet, actually 2 years and counting now, so we've had a lot of good speakers come in, and all this stuff is actually on the website as well. So if you want to go see past presentations, just go to hackformers.org and you can get past presentations. Matt Pardo has been helping us with the video stuff, and he's getting the YouTube channel ready as well for us to have the videos out there. And so Kevin, you're being recorded for this talk. I don't think you have a problem with that, but if you have a problem with it, it's your personal problem. It's not ours. And we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to still record it. There are 2 cameras, and the reason we put 2 cameras is I told Matt to give you the reason that he's testing new equipment, but I also told him that you have a split personality. So we capture both your personalities. This is our first meeting, actually. So you can see Brian Engel, Phil looks actually better in picture than now. We have Austin and James and me getting together. We met in a garden. No, not the Garden of Eden. It was Olive Garden. All right, so met at Olive Garden, and then so we decided where can we meet, and our super technology way in which we actually decided the day and the time frame when we needed to meet was we used a napkin that was over there, like a paper. You remember the day? Right? We sat together and we said, what meeting is happening on what days, like ISSA, OVAX, Cloud User Group, and then we picked one. So it's still happening.
I still have
You have that one? All right. So I took a picture.
Stapled in my journal.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Right. We've had some great speakers in the past. We continue to get some great speakers. There's James Wickett over here. You really can't see him in that picture. Who's this guy, right? I put this slide out there because many of you know Michael Howard, but the way he actually introduced himself, if you read in faint, he said the very first thing after he put his email is that I'm a Christian, I'm an imperfect in every way, right? So, and then he kind of went to giving his credentials about Microsoft and all the stuff he does. Marcus Carey, you know, from the stuff that he's done with ThreatCoast and other things, very well known in the industry. Austin over here, sorry Austin, I couldn't get a good picture, like, to highlight your face. Next time I'll Photoshop this to get lighting on your face. But Austin is over here referencing the Bible and other things in his talk. I don't know who let this guy in, James, who talked about fraud, and Jay was talking about fraud, and I was like, yeah, that itself is fraudulent now. Right, Brian Engel on history of compliance. Phil, I didn't get a picture of you. I need to get one in next time we talk. Claire, somebody let this guy in too, Snoop Dogg. So he's getting one of the presentations. And Dave Kennedy, actually, I was going to ask you, can you guess who this is? It says very first line again, like Michael Howard. He says, first and foremost, I'm a Christian and a follower of Christ. And then he went over to talk about all the stuff that he does with social engineering toolkit and all the other things. Jason Street, he was over here last month, talking about, very well known again. This person was very appropriate. On the very first slide it said, do you have a moment to talk about Jesus Christ? So we have some good speakers. They also let me speak a couple of times every now and then, so I'm there. And then we have some not just speakers, but we have some cool code. There's the social engineering toolkit. We have tools like Harley operating system. There's a whole series that is being done. So if you guys are interested in your local, follow through the whole series that we've been doing. And then I had to put my son there because he's holding the HackFormer bag, and he's the kind of our children are going to be our future of HackFormers. And we have a few pictures of Phil's kids over here, and other kids over here as well. So Phil, while I didn't get you, I got your children in the thing. So resources, there are Bibles, take one if you don't have one. Website, subscription via email would be one good way to get through. LinkedIn, where's Larry Moore? He's not been maintaining that site at all. No, actually, you are actually an administrator over there, if I'm not mistaken. So you are. So if people want to use LinkedIn, HackFormers followers, stores. I have some stickers and some business cards. If you're interested in them, feel free to take some from me as soon as this meeting's done. There's a store available for you to get some swags. Pray, participate, and help us out. Pray about the mission. Participate. The way we ask you to participate is if you have talents, or Kevin offered to actually give me a list of contacts of speakers that we could leverage and make some introductions. So that way, or if you want to speak on some topics. Tithes, I'm very encouraged and I'm very thankful to the community to tell you that for the next half year, we've had sponsorships already done to help with the food and other items for getting food into the meetings itself. So with that,
yes. Are you going to remind? I know I signed up for a meeting and I don't remember which one it was.
Okay.
Free food. Are you going to?
Yes. So Richard Stephen, who's not here, he said that he's going to actually take over that part and he's going to help in sending out emails and let people know about it.
Make sure I don't forget on the commitment.
Sure. No, thank you, Jeff. All right. We meet the first Friday of every month, except next month we are not going to be meeting on the first Friday because our speaker who's coming is from Oracle, Mary Ann Davidson. She's the CISO of Oracle. She's going to be speaking, so it'll be the third Friday where we'll send out more information about it. And then for the speakers, we have Kevin, Jim Morgan, Stephen Northcutt, a lot of the people that you probably recognize and that are either confirmed or potential to come speak. So with that said, I'm going to actually turn the floor over to Kevin because I know I don't want to take more of his time, but to let Kevin in. Kevin really needs no introduction. He's going to introduce himself quickly and then get into the topics that we have. But Kevin is a personal friend of mine, and I always wonder as to he has a lot of friends, but then I don't know why he put me in that circle as well. So he's a good friend of mine, very good friend, as well as he's a great speaker and he's very well known in the industry from a security standpoint. He did write the framework Samurai WTF, and he'll tell you WTF what it really stands for, right? So over to Kevin. You should just pop it in. I'm not looking, but I'm going to take my camera in.
You recorded that whole thing, I know. Okay, I just got the reminder I'm supposed to be at the HackFormers meeting. Okay, did that come up okay? Should be yes. So, what I'm going to talk about today is something that means a lot to me. I'm going to warn you that I'm a little ranty. I get pet peeves. And things bother me. And one of the things that bothers me a lot is the lack of ethics or the lack of the viewpoint of ethics in our field. It's very common for us to find out from people that we've done something we shouldn't. It's very common for people to think we're going to do something we shouldn't. I laugh and joke because in class, I'll say to people, hey, you need that disk, here's a USB stick. Oh, I'm not taking a USB stick from you. Why not? Well, you would attack me. You're an evil hacksaw guy, right? You're a red team guy. And my answer always is, did I have permission to hack you? No. So I'm not going to. And it bothers me that people immediately assume that I would. I will also point out that I find it funny that they won't take a USB stick from me, but they had just put the DVD from class that I built in the regime, because somehow that's safe, right? So I don't understand, but it's this viewpoint of ethics or the lack of ethics. And I also find very often, I actually had a woman in a plane, and I tell this story quite often. She's a very nice lady. I sat down. I travel way too much. And I'm traveling, and I'm sitting there, and this woman starts talking to me. It's a very nice conversation. She was an older lady, which I guess I can't say for much longer because I am older, but, you know, I'm an old fart. I remember modems. And so I'm talking to her, and we're having a very nice conversation. Very cheerful. I'm telling her about my daughters. Oh, my gosh, my daughters, right? We're doing all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden she says, so, why are you traveling? I said, oh, I'm traveling for work. I'm going out to a client. I'm doing this. And she says, well, what do you do? I'm a penetration tester. Really? Does that have something to do with oil? Could, if they hire me. Or like, it depends on the client. I'm like, no, it's not oil at all. She goes, well, what is it? So it's very simple. Companies hire me to break in, steal stuff, and show them how I do it so they can fix the problems. She said, you're a hacker. And I said, yes, ma'am, I am. And I was very proud of that. Yes, I am a hacker. Right? And she didn't talk to me the rest of the flight. Right? The one comment she did make, because we had talked about Christ. We had talked about God. We had talked about, because I had said to her, I'm having a blessed day. And she said, oh, are you a Christian? And this was earlier in the conversation. I said, yes, ma'am, I am. I'm very proud of that fact that I'm a Christian. I don't know why in the world Jesus would accept me. But he does. And the one thing she said that horrified me to my core was, how can you be a Christian and a hacker? Because there's this image that as a Christian, we would never do anything bad, which I laugh at. Because and I think it was Jason that you said, made the comment, right, that no, it wasn't Jason. I'm imperfect in every way. Michael, right? It's absolutely correct, right? I stumble all the time. This talk right now scares me to death. Because that whole, what if I stumble? What if I make the mistake that you look at and go, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And what I do in my job ties to that image, right? And so it bothers me. And this is something that's why I really want to talk about it a little bit. But before we get started, I want to, who am I, right? I am the founder of Secure Ideas. Wow, that's exciting. It really isn't. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a Christian. I wasn't always a Christian. I was raised Catholic, which I'm not saying Catholic isn't Christian. I want to be clear, because that's what just came out of my mouth, right? Like, oh my gosh, no. I was raised Catholic. And then I lost faith. I stopped going to church. I stopped believing. I never stopped believing that there was something bigger than me, but I just didn't know what the heck it was. And then a wonderful thing happened. I took a job at American Express. And on the first day of my job, I met my wife. It's the best blessing I've ever had until I had my children. And our first date was to church. We went to Wednesday night service in Calvary, Fort Lauderdale. And Calvary, Fort Lauderdale, yeah. Pastor Bob. How could you not like a church that has a pastor called Pastor Bob? Right? I answered the altar call that night. Almost didn't, because I didn't want Denise to think that I was trying to impress her. Oh yeah, I'll accept Christ, so you go out with me more, right? But I decided it was probably not a good idea to ignore it. And from that moment on, I'm there, right? Whole bunch of other stuff about me. I'm really not important. Tonight, like we said, we're going to talk about security. We're going to talk about ethics, right? We're going to then talk about Christ, being ethical, the Proverbs message about how we should be ethical, and then we're going to open up to discussion, right? So, ethics, ethical hacking, right? This is a comment. It seems like such a contradiction. So you're going to ethically steal stuff. Yes, right? It's that whole idea when customers say to me, hey, I want you to hack us like the real bad guys do. I'm always tempted to ask, does that mean I get to sell the credit card numbers when I'm done? Right? No, I don't ask that, and I don't sell them. But, right? We broke into one company, we were actually able to add $25 million to our account through a flaw in their web application. We asked if we could withdraw it. They said no. Would have been nice, right? But there is this image, right, of hacking. We're going to be in a dark room where we wear hoodies, according to Stockart. But I've never worn a hoodie in my life. I hate them. But, right, we're going to sit there. And I think I saw this image on the internet, because that's where all images are, of the business hand and the evil robber hand. And I really liked the dichotomy of that, right? Because that really is what we do. We do have to put on that hat, right? I mean, the company slogan is professionally evil. And we stand by that, right? Because we have to walk a line, right? And I'm not going to break into song. We have to have that image, that understanding, that mindset of what is evil. What is that horrible thing that we can do? But stay professional. Stay truthful. Stay honest. Stay on the right side of that line. And as a left-handed person, I hate saying right side, but we'll go with it. Right? We have to constantly walk that. And I find, jumping ahead to the next section, but I do find that that line we walk is the same line we walk as Christians living in a secular world. Right? I saw this church when we drove by earlier today, and I don't want to get this into a debate about different churches and stuff like that. I'm not going to name the church. But on the side of the building, they said, all inclusive. And it struck me. So does that mean you accept every single viewpoint? In which case, I don't know how you can be a church. If you accept every viewpoint. I'm okay with being all-inclusive, which is how I hope they mean it, that we welcome all people to join, right? But if we're all-inclusive as hackers, does that mean we're okay with anonymous? Is it okay with the people who steal data and actually sell it? Are we okay with the people who decided to mess around with the HVAC system at Target? You guys do know why Walmart wasn't hacked, right?
Shut off their air.
They weren't a Target. But, horrible joke, right?
Boo hiss.
I know. This is my sense of, I said I had a sense of humor, not a good sense of humor, right? But we've got to walk this line. And this is the key pet peeve of mine, and this is the one I really want to talk about. I love this graphic, right? I saw that it was like, first off, I'm a Star Wars fanatic, right? I am building a Stormtrooper armor kit. And I just finished my Imperial Guard costume. Yes.
Awesome.
I'm trying to join the 501st because, well, we got to go with the Empire. But I saw this, I was like, this is awesome, right? This is one of the biggest debates we have with ethics. And I want to be clear, I'm not going to get into ethics about, hey, is it okay to click that link? Is it okay to do that? Is it okay to do this? What I want to talk about is the overarching idea of ethics. Did you have permission? Right? And how do you determine that it's okay for what you do? How do you tell the difference between the bug hunter who's just going for the bounty and the person who's defacing the website? Right? And we as an organization, we as an industry, seem to put people up on a pedestal, a false idol. We seem to put people up on a pedestal that do bad things. Hey, did you hear about Joe? He found a flaw in such and such a site, and he was able to steal credit card numbers, and he didn't use them, but he stole them. And then he notified the company that he had the flaw. Isn't he a hero? We ignore the fact that that company now has to actually do an incident response. That company now has to actually respond as if he was evil because they don't know. You don't just If Anonymous says to you, well, we didn't mean to hack you, do you say, oh, okay, we won't look into it? No. So because I say I'm a researcher, because I say that I'm a bug hound, blah, 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 that thing, right? Does that mean you don't have to make sure I didn't do something else? And when we go out to those websites and put the single quote in the form field and we dump an error message, how do we know that we didn't cause some other problem on the back end? Right? This is one of the things, and this is why I believe that that woman in the airplane was horrified about what I do. Because what she hears about is the new credit card she had to get. What she hears about is the people who have been damaged. What she hears about is the asinine stories by NBC about hacking your phone immediately if you turn it on in Sochi. Right? Worst article I've ever... Like, that video was awful. I want to fly to Moscow and slap the guy. But that's what they hear. And we put those idols up to say, you're right, that's so cool you found that. That's so cool you found that bug. That's that exploit. We've found all these cool things from AT&T. We'll ignore the fact that we've, for years, doxed people. We'll ignore the fact that we've tried to sell the data. But we'll support him and try to fight those evil jerks at AT&T who dare to be offended that somebody stole data from them. And that's not a popular statement, and I'm aware of how unpopular that statement is, but let's be blunt. I'm just as aware of how unpopular the statement is that I'm a Christian, right? It's the same thing in my opinion. Now, I know there's differences, right? But it's the same type of idea. We as professionals, we as Christians, have to think about every action we do, right? Do we present the Boba Fett look, or do we present the guy in the hoodie, right? Because it's, you know, we pick on stock art people, but the exploits we do show the hoodie also, so I guess we can't complain too much, right? We also have this idea. How many people here have heard the idea of licensing hackers? Hey, you heard it the other day when I said it in class, right? Right? How do you guys think about being licensed to be a hacker? I see cringing, right? You're thinking government control, aren't you?
Yes.
I don't remember saying a government license, right? What would you think about being able to say you have met some standard? I don't even know what the standard is. I'm not that smart, right? But you've met some standard so you can officially call yourself a hacker. You know, we have this idea that if I break into something, James Jardine, a friend of mine, one of my employees, and I, friend also, but he and I talk about it all the time. You know, you hack something, you get caught, all you have to say is, I was performing security research. Really? Where's your lab coat? I don't have one. What research were you performing? I was performing whether I could steal that data. Right? I failed. I got caught. So now I'm a researcher. But what happens if we license researchers? What if we put standards around what they're allowed to do? I like what Microsoft, Katie Masuris has done in Microsoft. I like what Salesforce.com has done. I like what all of these organizations have said, you know what? We're going to embrace the community, but we're going to build rules. And as much as we all hate rules, I know I do, right? But as much as we all hate rules, the reality is if we were able to put rules around it, if we were able to say, this is when you're allowed to do this, and agree on that, which I know will be difficult, right? Maybe we'll be better off. Maybe the image of the hacker won't be the hoodie-wearing, black-gloved evil guy, but it'll be the person that's like Johnny Long, who's in Africa. The people who, like you guys, who started this organization to help other people. We do so much good as an industry. Why isn't that what people see? And in my opinion, one of the reasons is because we don't even know what makes us us, right? So I think, personally, I think that's the most important thing for us to do. And I think that this goes directly to the Bible. And I'm going to tell you, this is the hardest part of the presentation for me, right? Because I'm not real good at professing faith, even though I'm supposed to be, right? We're called to evangelize. I don't do it well. But I found these 3 verses in Proverbs. And I like Proverbs. I don't know about other people. I like Proverbs, right? I enjoy it. And it's good reading. It's not the latest Tom Clancy novel, but, you know, the integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. And I see this all the time. I believe the word. And the reason I believe the word is because I'm on Facebook. And I know how horrible that sounds. But watch. The people who talk about how horrible their life is, if you start to listen to them and you start to discuss it with them, you'll find out that many of them are unfaithful. Many of the people, they talk about karma. They talk about readings. I have a person I'm connected to on Facebook that is constantly complaining about how horrible her life is. Her miserable children and all the problems and how the whole world is against her. But you know what? She had a reading by Vicky yesterday, and Vicky says that the future is going to turn out well. And I'm sorry, but I look at that and go, yeah, you explained it, right? You told me right there where the problem is. And I'm okay with that. Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool. This, to me, talks directly to what we do. We have to preach. We have to preach Christ. We have to preach security. We have to be people standing up on the hill saying, don't click that link and accept Christ. Those weren't different. The and there didn't tie to the don't. But you knew what I meant, I think. Right? We have to preach this. Our job as security people is to preach it. We have to make the world a better place. We have to improve it for my daughters and your children and your ancestors, whatever, all these things. Right? And then finally, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. And to me, this is something we have to do. I'm embarrassed when Mono stands up in front, a man I admire immensely. It bothers me that he doesn't understand why I count him as a friend. Right? But when he stands up and says, this is a superstar speaker, this guy does so much and he's so cool, that freaks me out. Because to be honest, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I stand on the shoulders of greatness. And God has put me here for His glory, not my own. And I worry that one day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have chosen the silver and gold. That I'm going to believe the hype that people have about me. Because I suck. I do. And so it scares the crap out of me. And I think we all have to fight with that and worry about it. You know? And so I'm going to open it up for discussion, right? Because I kind of ranted at you a little bit. You know? I think that we've got some good stuff out there. But I also think that we have to realize that every time we do something, it is reflecting, right? It is going back to that idea of, did we follow what Christ wanted us to follow? Did we honor the sacrifice on Calvary? Right? Because I'll tell you right now, we don't deserve what we have. We really don't. But they gave it to us anyways. Right? So let's use it good. Make sense? Let's try to be ethical. Let's try to come up with a standard. What do you guys think about licensing? Yes, sir.
I had a faith question, if that's okay.
I'm sorry,
I had a faith question, if that's okay.
No, it's not. We're at HackFormers, a Christ-talking thing. Yes! Sorry, I'm that guy.
So, two-part. When you say that you're a Christian and you profess Christ, what does that mean exactly? And then the second part is, why do you choose to believe that outside of all the other worldviews there are?
Okay, so what does it mean to say I'm a Christian? I think that's actually a very easy answer. In my heart, I've accepted Christ has died for my sins. I then publicly profess that faith by answering the altar call and being baptized in the water, right? And then the rest of my life, I have to live with what He wants me to do. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fall. I'm going to do all that kind of stuff. But that's what I believe is being a Christian. I've accepted it and I've professed it, right? That's what it means. Now, why did I choose it? Because it's right. I mean, I look at the world and I say, everything I read in the Bible, everything I believe is shown to me in the wonder of a sunrise and in the beauty of a sunset. Every worldview I've ever looked at, and I searched for years, right? I fell out of faith when I was about 15, 16 years old. I had a really rough time, right? My parents were abusive. I accepted that, right? I fell out of the church, and I wandered, and I talked to lots of people, and I looked at different things, and every single thing I saw had huge holes in them, right? I mean, Scientology, awesome idea. Here, I'll pay you more money so I can be higher level, right? I know that's probably going to get this video taken down because they'll come after us. But, just everything I looked at had falsehoods. And it was obvious they were falsehoods. And I look at people, and I don't mean to be rude and judgmental, right? Thou shalt not judge. Yeah, we judge, right? We look at things, oh, look at that. But I look at people and say, how can you not see the beauty we have, right? And I also believe in my own life. You know, I grew up in a family where food was brought to us from local churches because we didn't have money, right? And now I'm working very hard to become a 1%er. But, you know, I want the Occupy movement to protest my house. That's my business goal. But all joking aside, right? The reality is that every time I get something, and I do my best, and I'm not saying I do it all the time, but I try to realize that God gave it to me. I find that when I glorify Him, I do better, right? So that's why. And that's a long, rambling reason, but, you know, no problem. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Kevin, I think it's one of those things we struggle with in industry and in our personal life, the perception that we have, right? I mean, because clearly we know, and you've established it, that there is a perception about hackers.
Yes.
Right? We get that. And I think there's this, you know, whether it's the I Am Calvary or whatever it's out there, people are trying to change that. And if you look at Christianity, for a long time, they have a stigma laid to them. It's that they're judgmental, and, you know, we could go on and on about what it is. And, you know, I don't think that, I haven't given up on trying to change that, but I think you change people's opinions by your actions.
Yes.
And so I think as much as we want to change the community and how we're viewed, we can't really do it any other way but by our actions.
Yes.
Maybe it's the things that, you know, Dave is doing by, you know, being out there on Capitol Hill and trying to change that. But they're just going to see it through our actions, and that's the only way that we can get through it. If you force it, it's just not going to happen. Just like if you try to force Christianity onto somebody,
it's not.
If you try to force it on that lady on that plane, that a hacker's, she's not going to buy it. It's just it's going to take them time to see it, and I think that's a hard thing for everyone to struggle with, because we realize that we're kind of in a position that, you know, you're just going to have a label.
Yeah, and I agree with you that it's through our actions. I just feel that right now, and this is, you're absolutely right, it's very similar to Christianity, right? Christianity has that stigma. Christianity has that judgmental, we hate people. We're godly and we're better than you, right?
Self-righteous.
Self-righteous is the perfect way to put it, right? And if you look, one of the differences between Christianity and hackers is that at least with Christianity, we can hold a Christian up to the Word and say, did you follow it, right? So do your actions match what you're saying you are, right? And with hackers, we don't have the Word, right? We don't have that standard. We don't have that. And I'm not saying we need God to create a New Testament for hackers, but if we build the standards ourselves, and I do believe coming from a Christian foundation is one way to do that. And I'm not saying that we need to pray before we do SQL injection. I'm just saying that if
it may help.
It may help.
I forget SQL.
I pray all the time during a pen test. But I think that if we build it from a solid ethics, a solid guidance, then we'll have that lowercase word that we can hold hackers to and say, did you follow this, right? That's the difference. And so I agree with you 100%. It is our actions. It is what we do. But then when we look at things like Weave, right? Snowden. When we look at what they did, we don't have a standard to say, were they right? Right? And that's where I think it falls down. Right? So, but I agree with you 100%. It is our actions. I just like to see those actions compared to a word. Make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Any other questions?
I want to make a comment. I just want to say I appreciate you sharing your personal experiences. coming, like you're falling off and you're coming back and so forth. Because that's such a powerful way to witness, because it really is a witness. It's like, this is what I've experienced with Christ, and I'm just telling you this. This is it. It's about the most pure and honest way you could go about it.
This freaks me out.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It doesn't help. I'm petrified of public speaking. I have been my whole career. I don't know why I chose this career. I'm petrified of public speaking. I hate travel and I hate meeting new people. But and I'm a traveling consultant that public speaks. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So, yes, sir.
In your professional experience, have you ever had an experience where you come up from an ethical perspective, not necessarily what you had this data and you want to sell them, so maybe you've discovered something that was out of your initial scope. Should you continue?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll tell a quick story, and then I apologize. I do have to run because I have to get back to class. I'll tell you a quick story of an experience of a time I've run into that ethical thing. So we're at a client. We found a 0-day in a major piece of software. We ask our client if we can reveal it to the company that made it, because we want them to fix it. We want them to patch it, but we're under an NDA, so we can't call them and do it. They said no. Right? Now the question comes up internally. Are we allowed to go notify can't even talk. Can we notify the company that built the software? And the answer, according to my lawyer, is no. Now, a month later, we're at another customer's location. They have the same exact software. We find the same exact flaw. They want to notify the provider of the software. What is the ethical decision? Do we notify? Do we not notify? Right? And I'll tell you right now that I don't know the right answer there. In that case, we notified the first customer that the second customer found it and wanted to notify, and the first customer said, okay, let's do it. So we didn't have to deal with the ethics, because we reached back and we didn't have to come to that fight. But I need to prepare for the next time it happens. And I'll be honest, I don't know the answer, right? But that's the situation we've run into. We've run into situations like that. We've hacked the wrong system because we were given bad data, whatever, right? And you have to deal with how you react to that. That make sense? Cool. So in that case, I apologize, everyone. I'm so sorry that I rushed in and I'm rushing back out. But I do have to I've got students at the other place that are waiting to see me talk. I can't thank you enough for letting me stand up here and profess my faith and talk to you about this stuff.
Made a plate for you to take with you?
I'm perfectly okay, but thank you.
I
can't eat pizza.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, my Italian grandmother is horrified that I don't eat. But thank you very much.
Hey, there's some stickers over here if you guys want some stickers.
So,
for your laptops or anything else.
I can't believe I'm running like this. I'll be here until Sunday if anybody's downtown and wants